2015 has been a fantastic year for movies. So many incredible films came out in the last 12 months that at one point I almost had to make a top 15 and even a top 20 list because I just couldn't decide what to fit into the video. Now please bear in mind that I haven't seen every single movie that came out this year, a brief list of which will be in the description below, and also I haven't reviewed some of the movies that will be appearing on this list, mostly because I didn't have the time to make a video about them, given that sadly this isn't my full-time job just yet. And not only that, but I'm going to be bringing up some movies that came out in 2014 in the United States, but came out over here in the UK in 2015. There were some movies that did come out in 2015 that I'm not going to be bringing up in here because we don't get them until January. For example, Creed, Joy, The Revenant, and The Hateful Eight. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to save them for my best movies of 2016 list. That is, if they're good enough to actually end up being on there. And lastly, these are simply my personal favourites for films that came out in the last 12 months. If there's one movie you did prefer over some other movies that I ranked above it, then don't have a go at me. Like I said, it's my personal opinion. And given that this is my personal favourites for the year, that means the rating system that I give on this channel means jack shit. So, without further ado, let's get started. These are my top 10 favourite movies of 2015. Number 10. Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation. 2015 has been quite a big year for action movies, some of which I really liked, while some on the other hand just downright annoy me because of the laws of physics seemingly not applying to them. Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation stands out from the rest of them. The action and the dialogue were enough to keep you going throughout the entirety of its 2.5-hour running time. You begin to feel extremely sympathetic for these characters on their life-threatening mission. You also feel as if you're a part of the team itself. And given that there is a sequel currently in development, I'm very much excited to see what else is to come. Number 9. Straight Outta Compton. Straight Outta Compton was undoubtedly the biggest surprise of the summer for me. Who would have thought that a biographical movie about one of the most influential rap groups in history would not only be incredibly interesting but also blow your mind about how much change can be brought about through something as simple and as beautiful as music. The acting was surprisingly good and the story kept me hooked throughout the entire way. And not only that, but also given that this is a story about brotherhood and sticking together through hard times, those are just two of the many reasons why Straight Outta Compton was one of only 2 movies this year which I gave an A+ rating to. Number 8. Mad Max Fury Road. Mad Max Fury Road is 2 hours of non-stop action, explosions, incredible acting by Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy, and don't even get me started on the soundtrack. If this movie was going to get any Oscar or Year Reviewer nomination, it would be for the soundtrack. What I love most about this is that deep down it's not really a film about non-stop action, it's actually a story of love, friendship and hope, and you genuinely do start to feel for Max as he's dragging these women across this desolate wasteland to help them find a new home for which to live in. It's easily one of the best movies of 2015 and the soundtrack just does it for me. Oh yeah, and the sandstorm scene right after Nicholas Holt's character shouts, "Oh what a day! Oh what a lovely day!" This was one of the few films that helped start off the summer movie season with a glorious bang. Number 7. Selma. Selma is one of those movies that came out in 2014 in the United States but didn't come out here in the UK until February of 2015. I found this film to be rather refreshing for me. After the colossal disaster which Red Letter Media likes to call "Fuck you, it's January!" It was so good to actually see a movie which made me tear up halfway through. David Oyelowo was perfect in the role of Martin Luther King Jr. Not only is it one of the best films I've seen all year, but it's also a story about how love and peace will always triumph over something such as violence. Number 6. Avengers: Age of Ultron. Avengers: Age of Ultron looked promising when I saw the trailers, and I got very excited every time I saw a clip being uploaded onto YouTube. So I went to the midnight screening with my friend on St. George's Day, and not only did it live up to the hype, it exceeded it. You had the Avengers and some brand new superheroes being brought in, battling it out against Ultron. The stakes had been raised to inhuman levels, and Joss Whedon did a terrific job directing yet another Avengers movie. Given that the Russo brothers had taken over for the Infinity War movies, and they did a pretty good job with Captain America the Winter Soldier, and they will most likely do a brilliant job with Civil War next May, I cannot wait to see what you give us in 2018 and 2019 when you hopefully give us the big final showdown against Thanos. Number 5. Inside Out. Inside Out is the single necessary piece of evidence needed to prove that Pixar is still the rightful king of animated movies. I saw this in cinemas, I cried, and I loved it. This teaches all of us, but mostly children, that sadness is not just a regular thing in our lives, but it's also needed because it gives us a reminder as to what we are as human beings. It's as if the movie is saying to its viewers, hey, you know what, it's okay to cry. It's perfectly fine if you want to be upset every now and then. You want to know why? Because you're human. And it's normal. I can't recommend this movie more, not just on the message alone. There are so many more things that I loved about this. Inside Out is one of the most emotional, heartwarming, and most incredible movies of 2015. Okay guys, so these next four were extremely hard to place. I rearranged them so many times that at one point every single one of them had the number one spot. That's how much I loved all of them. So, with all that said, let's go. Number 4, Ant-Man. Ant-Man was probably one of those movies where people would suddenly start to go, yeah, you know what, maybe Marvel are starting to run out of ideas for their movies. I mean, Jesus Christ, Ant-Man? God, what's next, a Squirrel Girl movie? But believe it or not, I actually really enjoyed it, so much so that I saw it 3 times in my local cinema. It's one of Marvel's best films today and probably one of the funniest. Not only that, but we got a very different kind of superhero in the MCU. So far we've had a super soldier, an assassin, a god, super speed, telekinesis, an archer, a man in an iron suit, and the Jolly Green Giant. You couldn't get any weirder than that, could you, Marvel? Well, they did. They gave us a guy who could shrink to the size of an ant. And it was awesome. Number 3, The Martian. The Martian is the other one of 2 other movies this year which I gave an A+ rating to. It told an amazing story about how humanity could band together and work their asses off to just rescue this one man who is stranded on a deserted planet. It almost gives you faith in the human race once again, where people from all ethnicities, religions and cultures work together and disband all other bad ties just to rescue Mark Watney from Mars. This is Ridley Scott's return to making good movies again. Number 2, Bridge of Spies. Bridge of Spies is a Cold War spy thriller directed by Steven Spielberg and starring Tom Hanks. What's not to love? The characters in this are so likeable that you actually begin to feel sorry for Mark Rylance's character, despite the fact that he is in fact a traitor who is leaking United States nuclear information to the Russians. Just when you think the film's going to take a step in one direction, it immediately takes a step towards a completely different destination, and it still keeps you hooked. And the plane sequence in the second act just blew me away. That was enough to convince me that the film was going to get better and better as it went along. And you know what? I was right. Okay guys, so before I unveil my pick for the best movie of 2015, I just want to bring up some honourable mentions which I loved so much, I just couldn't leave them out. Kingsman: The Secret Service. This felt like a new version of James Bond with terrific acting from Samuel L. Jackson and Taron Egerton, and the church scene was fantastic as well. There are 2 types of people in this world. Those who like Kingsman: The Secret Service, and compulsive liars. John Wick. This was the movie that proved that Keanu Reeves is still a total badass. If you don't believe me, just watch John Wick. Sicario. Fantastic performances from Emily Blunt, Josh Brolin and Benicio del Toro. This left me on the edge of my seat with every passing second. And not only that, but it did a great job showing the harsh realities of the drug wars in Mexico. The Gift. This is easily one of the creepiest and one of the best suspense-driven films I've seen in a very long time. Who would have thought Joel Edgerton would have performed so well in a very disturbing role? But somehow he still managed to pull it off. Ted 2. Undoubtedly the funniest film I saw this year in theatres. Seth MacFarlane gave us a terrific sequel to what we got 3 years ago, which is surprisingly good for a comedy. Steve Jobs. Brilliantly directed by Danny Boyle, and Michael Fassbender was perfectly cast for the role, and not only that, but we got to see a side to him that was never really touched upon that much by the media. Alright guys, so before I go on to number 1, I want to bring up one more very special movie in what I like to call my surprise mention. This goes to the movie that I went into the cinema thinking it was going to be a massive pile of shit, and I was even reserving it a special place on my top 10 worst movies of 2015 list. And I walked out shocked out of my mind at how much I actually ended up liking this. And that award goes to The Visit. Holy shit, M. Night Shyamalan actually made a pretty decent movie. Admittedly, the first 45 minutes were boring as could possibly be, but after that it picks up and just gets better and better as it goes along. Congratulations, M. Night Shyamalan, you did pretty good this year. Alright folks, here we are. It's the moment you've all been waiting for. The time where I unveil my number 1 favourite movie of 2015. Now this was a very hard decision to make, but I'm very glad I made the choice. I'm almost 100% certain that you all saw this one coming, but my favourite movie of 2015 is Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Star Wars The Force Awakens for me wasn't exactly a movie, more like an experience that was quite literally out of this world. It brought back everything we loved about the greatest movie franchise of all time and made it 10 times better, which is something that we desperately needed after the prequels. This got better with every single passing scene, and it left my jaw hanging for the entirety of the 2.5-hour runtime. The heroes I love, Kylo Ren I thought was a fantastic villain, this was everything we needed it to be and more. J.J. Abrams, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Well guys, there you have it, my top 10 favourite movies of 2015. Let me know in the comment section below what your favourite movies of the past 12 months were. I am planning on making a top 10 worst movies of 2015 as well, which I'm very much looking forward to making. And once again guys, thank you so much for watching this, have a fantastic new year, and as always, I've been Tartarus Pictures, and I will see you later. Good night.